All right. Welcome, everybody, to the Outer Rim. I am Carbonite. With me, as always, is Ray. Ray, how are you doing tonight?
Hey everyone, how are you, Carbonite?
Are you ready for the big premiere episode?
I'm so ready.
Yes, yes. So today we are focusing on 2021 Chrome Galaxy, perhaps the greatest modern Star Wars card set. Um,
In
right?
in
I
our
think,
opinion, which is right.
which
So
is
yep.
correct. Yeah, which is always correct. We're always correct. But tonight we have with us a very special guest, probably one of the go-to gurus of 2021 Chrome Galaxy. You see him on Instagram, and his collection is just your eyes go wide, and you just like a kid at Toys R Us in the '90s, right? You're just looking up and just, oh my God, so many amazing cards. But yeah, let's bring them out. So please welcome to the Outer Rim, Star Wars Card Crazy.
Hey, welcome.
Pretty
Da-da-da-da.
crazy.
That beautiful collection right behind you.
I know.
Hey, thank you. Thank you. How
Yeah,
are you
well,
guys doing
welcome,
tonight?
welcome. Yeah,
Yeah,
welcome the Outer Rim, and we're so pleased that you were able to make it,
yeah.
geographically speaking. So glad you guys are all safe and sound down there from the storm and everything like that. So yeah, so tell us. So what we want to know, tell everyone wants to know. So how did you get into collecting Star Wars cards?
Sure. Well, I have a long story, short story. I'll tell the set. I will tell the short story. But so I was actually a product of the original Star Wars card Topps release in the '70s, and I just was old enough to see the Star Wars cards on the shelf in the drugstores. Were very very cheap, but for me it was I most remember the Empire Strikes Back card when they came out,
Mhm.
and I spent all my allowance. And back then it was maybe 50 cents, 75 cents a week was about the allowance, and that would buy 2 or 3 packs of cards, and I would dump all my money, everything I had in Empire Strikes Back cards. So for me, it started a long time ago, and in a galaxy far, far away. No, and then for me, there were the dark years, right? So I was trying to adult and be an adult, and I was too good for Star Wars, for a while, and then we had our kids, and as you might imagine, bringing the kids into it, then all of a sudden Star Wars is cool again. I've got to make sure Star Wars is cool again, and the rest is history. Really, it was really 2015 is when I really dove right back in hardcore with the Force Awakens cards, and started buying Force Awakens Series 1s like crazy. I got into sketch cards, which I have, a ton of them over here, and that kind of lured me back in, and my son and I have been kind of doing it ever since.
Yeah, I feel like you and I are kindred spirits in many ways because it was the same thing. I was huge into Star Wars. I had my sick day movies were the original trilogy on VHS. But then, yeah, I got into high school, college, early adult. I was like, oh, too cool for Star Wars, too cool for card collecting. I was a product of that junk wax era where there was just so much of everything out there.
Ah,
And then, yeah, a few years ago, just on a whim, like I said, same thing. Kids started getting into some Star Wars. Ray, I know you can speak to that.
I was going to say I love this story so much because it's my son who dragged me into the whole galaxy,
Yeah,
and I just kind of went down the rabbit hole with him and haven't stopped. So yeah, I
yeah.
that's
get it.
awesome.
It's
No,
awesome.
so behind you, I think curious minds want to know behind you in those beautiful glass cases, about how many Star Wars gems do you have behind you?
Oh, okay, gems. Okay, I have, well, so there's four. These are detoffs, and there's 4 rows per detoff, and then I have right behind me here. There are 5 detoffs, so 20 bays. The top 2 rows are atomics. The bottom 2 are prisms, and I think I've got 92 atomic gems, so I need 8 more, including the Kurosawa, which I've tried twice and got 9.5s, not working out there. And then the bottom, I've got around 80, 82 prisms. So I need,
Wow.
18, 20 more prisms. And then we'll have a full set of prism gems and a full set of atomic gems. And I'm working on the mojos, but that's a much slower progress right behind me here.
Yeah, I
That
can't, I
that's
can't imagine.
amazing.
Yeah. Oh, that's great. Yeah, no, I mean, just and we'll talk more about the 21 Chrome Galaxy as we go on. But I just feel like that is that lightning rod that brought so many people into the hobby, that brought so many people. I mean, there's a lot of things that went into it, but just the card choices that they had from the base set, the inserts that they had, adding the parallels, the atomics, the prisms, the waves, all
Yep.
that. I think what perhaps my favorite card in my entire collection is the Empire and Rebellion wave
Okay.
in a 10, and I just, oh my god,
It's a beautiful card.
Yeah, oh yeah. I mean, they're all gorgeous, but
Yeah.
So without further ado, let's get into it, shall we? Let's get into
Let's do it.
to the meat of the show. And our first segment, we like to call Ready, Set, Go. And so Ray and I both have chosen a card from 21 Chrome Galaxy, and what your job is to explain to the viewers why my card is better
Other
than
way
Ray.
around.
And so that's all you have to do. That's all you have to do. It's very simple. So
We're both going to sell you on a card here.
All right, let's get into it. There we go. That intro cost me $10,000.
No. So I have to say,
so,
I guess I'm going first because this
yes,
is the
you
card
are.
I picked. And this was not an easy task, card crazy, as I'm sure you can imagine, because you just mentioned some of the ones that possibly would have been my favorite. Kurosawa, Empire and Rebellion. There are so many beautiful cards here. The reason that I went with this one in particular is that when the artwork on these, it's not just the art itself. To me, there's so much deeper meaning behind them.
Mhm.
And when I look at this card, I just endlessly get caught wondering, is this young Boba imagining his future, right? Of sort of retribution and revenge, or is this older Boba looking back and in memory? And I think it could go either way, and there's just so much deeper layers of meaning behind the artwork in all of these. So ultimately, this is the one that I went with. I also thought Carbonite was going to take Kurosawa, and I was going to let him, but he didn't. I think he took an easier way here. So go ahead. You can try and sell him on.
That's
on
a good one.
Yeah,
that's a good one.
Ray, first of all, how dare you give a detailed, eloquent explanation of your card that gives a whole new take that I have never even thought of when looking at this
deep.
card.
Yeah.
All right. So I'm up. I cheated. I cheated, and I chose Finest on Naboo. I cheated. Yeah. Sorry, Ray. Sorry.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
You did. You took the easy way.
So two reasons. Two reasons. I know, right? I know. Two reasons is, one, the card is just beautiful. I mean, this is Padme Amidala at her most majestic, her most beautiful, her most everything. This was the first mojo I ever hit in 21 Chrome Galaxy was this card, and I was so enamored with Padme on this card. I didn't even notice Darth Vader was on the card until it came back from grading. Like that's how you know what I mean? You're just so drawn.
Yeah.
You're so drawn to Padme, and just having that sort of Vader in front, sort of just existing and that foreboding of, okay, what, with the dark clothes too, her, like, how much of a blame does she have with Vader falling to the dark side, right? How much, you know what I mean? Like, I put it in quotes, blame, but how much of influence did she really have? And I love when these darker outfits, right, showing that, yeah, obviously she is a beacon of good and this and that, but was it sort of the negative, two negative, the magnets, right? When you put sort of when they just resist each other and then push each other away. So that's why you will choose Finest on Naboo.
I don't know. You've got my new take on the Boba card. So
all right, my friend. So go ahead, please.
Oh my God. So first off, I have to say it's a sucker punch because Padme is one of my pinned reels in my profile. The other two are carousels. Padme is my third pinned reel. So obviously I'm very, very excited about that card. I will say this. You're gonna be mad at me. Padme is probably my favorite card, but she sold me more on hers and the
Oh,
deepness behind it.
Oh,
So
crazy. I love you.
yeah. So
all
I
right.
mean, it's kind of a almost is tie are ties allowed or no, or do I have
No,
to
no,
choose?
no. You
Okay.
gotta make a decision. You
I,
gotta.
I gotta go on the sell. She made me think of the Boba card in a whole new way, so I'll go that route tonight.
All right, Ray. I concede to you.
Thank you,
Congratulations.
thank you. And I'm curious, do you have this one in a prism?
um, I have it in an atomic. I
Awesome.
still need it in the prism, and I have the Padme right here behind me in
Yep.
an atomic, and I still need her in a prism. So I have the atomic of both of those, but not the prisms.
Oh, perfect.
Awesome.
Well, there you go. Awesome,
Great
awesome.
start.
All right. Ray 1, Carbonate 0 to start the auto ram. That's okay. That's okay.
It
All
was
right.
close.
So let's take a look at some of the cards. So we're gonna just take a look at a few cards from the set 2 together. Just go and what I decided for the show was to do the propaganda posters from the base set, right? So you look at them like, oh, these are inserts, right? No, they're not. They're not inserts. They're in the checklist. They are cherry picked from the various older Galaxy sets, but I just love these cards. I love everything about them. It's that side of Star Wars that you don't see that often, which is the general populace. How do they see the heroes? How do they view the leaders of their government, the leaders of their armies, right? And so first off, you have this one Unite. By the way, this is the best scans I could find of these cards. My apologies. They're very shiny, and but yeah. So Unite, right? So it's obviously Clone Wars era card. Clone troopers marching, unite, and I love the irony of this card because it's a clone army begging the general populace to unite, right? It's like come together as one, even though you needed to buy 1,000,000 clones from Camino to fight.
Or is it even redundant? Is it asking the clones to unite, which is like, well, hold on, we're
Yeah,
already united just by virtue of what we are.
yeah, no,
Hmm.
exactly, no, exactly, and
Yeah.
yeah, no. So I just, I love this card. I mean, people have a soft spot for the clone troopers, definitely, and
So
and
we
yeah,
have
it's
that
cool.
one here.
And there it is, and there, oh my
Oh,
god,
there it
yep.
is. Look at that.
Oh,
Beautiful.
it's a lot prettier in the atomic than it is up on the screen, right? And so moving on, you have the Celebrate. We all know the Celebrate. I believe that's one of the temples on Yavin behind her, if I am not
Yep.
mistaken.
Looks like it.
And some X-wings flying over. This is capturing Leia what as the Death Star was destroyed, as Death Star got blown up.
Maybe so. It's kind of in
And
her prime, though.
yes, oh
Yeah.
yeah, this is the Leia ascending, right? This is
Yes.
Leia. Obviously, if you're a propagandist for the rebellion, you have a princess from Alderaan whose planet was just destroyed by the Empire, one of the last Alderaanians in the entire galaxy. And obviously, they're going to use her in a poster, right? They're going to use her to try to win people over. But my whole thing is like to celebrate, and it's how many people were on the Death Star? Was it 1,000,000? It was something around
2
1,000,000.
million? I think it was 2 million. Yeah.
2,000,000, right? 2,000,000.
Yeah.
Celebrate the death of 2,000,000 people,
Oh,
right? Like that.
well,
That
and
again,
you've
it's that.
never seen her look so at peace as she. I don't ever think there's a moment in the movies where she looks this at peace and this happy because her battle's kind of never over. So it's a very different expression for her too.
No,
I think she's probably thinking, I didn't die today.
right.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly, right. And it's celebrating the death of Grand Moff Tarkin, of just
Right.
revenge, getting revenge, right?
Yeah.
Leia's just a revenge, just bloodthirsty, just wanting to get back for Alderaan. I don't know, but cool card nonetheless. And then
I have that one, by the way, in the prism here tonight. So
Oh, that looks
oh
cute.
yeah. Oh yeah. See again, for all of you at home, please go do yourself a favor and start and go buy some singles from 21 Chrome Galaxy. You will not be disappointed. Base, refract, doesn't matter. Just go out and get some. They are gorgeous, and just like this next card, right? Together. Now another Clone Wars era card, right? Because that's Mace Windu, that's Obi-Wan Kenobi, and that's Anakin Skywalker, if I'm not mistaken.
Yep.
And it's just so interesting, right? It's like together, right? Unite behind the Jedi, like you had a choice, Republic. Like you had a choice to do it. And it's that preaching that, hey, like follow this dogmatic, super conservative, borderline zealots who are trying to like bring peace to the galaxy through war, right? It's that irony. What I love is that Star Wars isn't cut and dry. It's not cut and dry. But just to see this, you walk into the school bus and you see this poster hung up, on the streets of Coruscant or the, maybe in Tatooine, who knows, right? Or in Corellia, any of the other core worlds. It's just neat. And obviously,
how far into the outer rim do these posters go? That's the question, right? How far out are they recruiting? Yeah, and it makes it look so shiny, right? If you go to the next one, I think is when I was going to chime in the most, because it's just that subversive. Yeah, there it is. This is my favorite, right? It's just so an exact copy of the propaganda that people were seeing during World War II, here. And that's what's so sort of subversive to me about it, is it's taking something familiar from the real world and putting it onto the Star Wars universe, which makes it just not mundane. That's not quite the right word, but it becomes less of a fantastical story and just like, oh, what were those average citizens walking around seeing these posters and going, oh yeah, I should join the army. Like, that's a good future for me. And so I just love it makes me think of those rap battles. You ever see those epic rap battles of Darth Vader versus Hitler, right?
Yeah.
I mean, they both have the same propaganda poster.
Yeah. This is my favorite one for sure. I did. I don't know if you saw. I flashed it up. This is the Omega. It's 50-50. It's the Omega Mojo.
Hold it closer. I want to see.
I was going to say we're both trying to like jump through the screen.
Hold on. Let me see. Yeah. Get a little closer. There you go. Oh yeah, that is beautiful. Beautiful.
That is stunning.
Yeah. That's my favorite. So I'm glad you picked that one.
Yeah, and in the background, you see one of the Praetorian Guards, you see a stormtrooper, you see a gunner, scout trooper, and I love the message. He can't do it alone. I mean, maybe he could. Vader in his prime maybe would have been able to crush the rebellion, right? Maybe on his own.
He did a good job with the end of Rogue One there, but
right, yeah, exactly, right. Maybe he could do it alone, but the whole like they need to convince people. Like, there's some people who see this poster and go like, fuck yeah, like I'm joining the Empire, right? Like, this is please. Like, I want to fight with Vader. And then you get stuck on some freighter, you're stuck on some freighter in the outer rim and you're like, oh, this sucks, right? But yeah, no, this one is great. And then more Empire, right? The loose lips brings down starships.
Yeah.
Right. That World War II
I mean, it's an exact parallel to it, and it just makes it so you think about those average people in the Star Wars universe in a whole new way when you see these cards.
Yeah, they're great cards. Absolutely great cards.
And then the last one here, rebuild the Death Star. The Empire needs you. And like, do you think there's some people who saw this and went, wait, what happened to the first Death Star?
Yeah, I don't want to be on there.
Wait, what happened? Hold on a second. Wait, I thought we already had one of those. We rebuild. Wait, what happened, right? And this is interesting too, because I don't think the Empire would ever use the destruction of one of its prized super weapons as propaganda, right? Because it's admitting weakness and that sort of thing. So it's just, I don't know. I just found that one interesting.
I don't think Palpatine got to approve this one before it got printed.
No, right. Yeah.
Somebody's head rolled after this went down on the street, but
no, absolutely. But yeah, it was, again, going back to the set 21 Chrome Galaxy, like the fact that they and I know they took cards from older Galaxy, but what they chose and how they grouped them up in the checklist and everything is just, it's such a perfect bridge from sort of the vintage Star Wars into the modern Star Wars, right? Where the original trilogy, very cut and dry, who's good and bad, and then they start to bring out with the Saw Gerrera types and the propaganda, and like especially in Andor, right? Like the everyday citizen, like what did they think? And it wasn't this cut and dry. Like, some people saw the rebellion as terrorists, right? Some people saw the Empire as this beacon of peace in the galaxy. And just to have that, it's not so just black and white. Having that gray area I think is just fascinating.
Yeah,
So,
well said. Yeah.
yeah, that's great. All right. Well, with that brings us to our very first Cantina conversation. So here we go. All right, so let's raise a glass.
Cheers, everyone.
Everybody,
Cheers.
cheers, cheers, ding, ding. Here we go. So our
So, yes,
Cantina conversations.
We like to say these are the conversations we'd have if we were just hanging out with a whole bunch of aliens in your favorite cantina with the Max Rebo band playing in the background.
Exactly.
And I'm so glad we picked this first topic for tonight, because I really could talk about this endlessly until bar closes at 4 a.m. with you guys.
So get it. So then, right, get us started. Let's go.
All right. So the Jedi paradox, right? They are supposed to let go of all attachments, all of these things. This is why Darth Vader himself, or Anakin rather, could not be a Jedi and fell to the dark side, letting go of those emotions. But the entire training system of the Jedi depends upon this very deep relationship between your Padawan and your master. And I see this play out between Obi-Wan and Qui-Gon, between Obi-Wan and Anakin, between Anakin and Ahsoka. And so at what point, why is that permissible? Why is that not a danger when they have to let go of family, friends, love, everything else? So I'm going to open it up to you guys and let's talk.
Yeah. So I thought about this a lot over the last few days, just to think about like what the mindset of the Jedi, the mindset of the people. And when you're a little kid and when you look up at adults and you look up at society, everything is very structured. Everything is very ordered. Everything is very, it just makes sense, right? Like you think adults are infallible. You think, spoiler, earmuffs, kids, Santa Claus is real. You think
of course he is.
That, you go to school, then you get a job, then you have a family, It's like very just ordered, very, the societal expectations. And as a kid, you just think that everything's perfect and adults know everything, right? And I think that as Star Wars fans and Star Wars fans, and also the general populace of the galaxy within the universe, look at the Jedi in the same way, that they are infallible. They are perfect. Every single Jedi follows the Jedi creed to a T, and everything is great until they try to betray the Republic, and then they have to get purged. And all that stuff. But again, that's what I think. That's how everyone views them. When in fact, within, as we saw in the Acolyte, as we saw with Anakin, as we saw with Ahsoka, and all that, it's quite the opposite, right? There is room. There's wiggle room, and there's imperfection, and there is attachment, and there is love, and there is hate, all within jealousy. All these emotions exist within the Jedi Order. It's just that perhaps on screen, where the people sort of get this perfect vision of the Jedi, is that you only see the cream of the crop. You see the Mace Windu's and the Yodas and the Obi-Wan Kenobis, right? That's who you see, and the Yaddles of the world, right? Who obviously is the perfect Jedi. We all know that. But no, it's just I just feel like that's how people see it to me.
Yeah.
That's
and the Acolyte sort of pulled back that curtain a little bit. So Card Crazy, I'm curious your take on this as somebody who watched these as a kid and then now coming back to them as a grown-up too.
Yeah. So I since you played the protagonist, I'll play the antagonist. I'll take the Sith route. I'll defend Anakin, saying that I think it's all hypocrisy, right? I think it's the Jedi wanting to control. To your point, order. The Jedi wants to control the order. And even though we heard Yoda say a number of times in Clone Wars, let go of the dead, honor the living, and let's move on. I feel like, to your point, it's a double-edged sword, because they did in a lot of ways have this tight bond with their Padawan, right? And so, to your point, how can you say no to attachments when the very nature of a positive Jedi Padawan relationship is all about the quality of the attachment. So I call hypocrisy on Yoda and everybody else. Mace Windu has to go. His entire Jedi style is on the brink of becoming a Sith, right? He can control the dark side, but it doesn't let him control him. So he's the worst offender. He dabbles in all the arts, you know, whether it's the light side, the dark side, or somewhere in between. So it's nothing but hypocrisy from the Jedi Order, in my opinion.
Yeah, I'm with you 100%. I think, you're going to tell me that Luke doesn't care deeply about Obi-Wan or Yoda or all of these people who trained him. And then, then you get that scene in The Mandalorian where he's trying to sell Grogu on, yeah, stay with me and just let go of everybody that you care about. I'm like, no, I would take that, chainmail armor too and be out of there in a heartbeat. But that doesn't make Grogu evil. So it's interesting that you have, when it happened to Anakin, it's this steep fall to the dark side. But to me, it's, I think the Jedi are almost setting themselves up for failure. Are they maybe losing out on some of their strongest potential Jedi because they're telling them, sorry, you got to let go of everybody that you care about?
Oops. Yep.
Oops.
Yeah. And,
agreed.
And yeah, and with this whole, you'll figure this out over the many episodes we'll record of this, but like I had hoped beyond hoped that the sequels would have led to sort of the establishment of the gray Jedi, right? I know that's an unpopular opinion in some circles, right? Because but or a new order that embraces both light and dark, the good parts, and that can demonstrate love, but also mercy, right? Kind of pull it, or whatever it is, like the yin and the yang. And Card Crazy, I think you're absolutely right. It's the hypocrisy, and I just always felt Yoda was like the principal, like the schools, kids are goofing off, kids are spray painting walls, kids are getting in trouble, spitballs to the teacher and everything. And Yoda's the principal walking around, cleaning up everyone's messes and telling the superintendent, telling all the other teachers, no, everything's fine. No, everything's good. No, we're good. We're good. We're good. But there's like 50 kids in detention. You know what I mean? Like the test scores are down and everything, but he's just kind of going on trying to clean up everyone else's messes. And that's just what he does. I don't know.
And to your point, the acolyte, and as you mentioned earlier, Ray, like that introduced some of that at the very end, right? The last scene with Yoda there in the background or the foreground, right? He's about to have to do this giant cover up in the very last episode of Acolyte.
Yeah.
No,
which we'll never see now, alas. But
we can imagine it. Well, I heard they might do some comics or something to fill in gaps or whatever, but whatever, right? We're in there. But yeah, no, it's just so interesting, right? That as a fan of the original trilogies, growing up, right? That's all we had for a long time. Card Crazy, right? It's all we had. I think it's just difficult for fans of that era in some ways to see the Jedi any less than perfect, because the only Jedi they had experience with was Obi-Wan Kenobi and Luke Skywalker, right? And which is crazy to think too, because Luke, like you said, he disobeys Yoda, he goes to save Han, he doesn't complete his training.
Right, he loves Han, he loves Leia, he has all these attachments.
Yeah, he has all these great. And so it's just like, I just think that's a tough pill to swallow for a lot of fans, where they're actually showing there's 10,000 Jedi out there. Like there's gonna be some assholes. There's gonna be some selfish Jedis. There's gonna be some jerks, right? And so I think having this paradox of like, you have a Padawan who you're supposed to show attachment, and is just sort of microcosm of the bigger problems the Jedi have. So.
Yeah. I do hope, to your point, man, the gray Jedi exploration, that would be a really great topic. So maybe Disney's listening tonight. And they'll take
right. Yeah.
The new set of Rey Skywalker movies. That's what we want to see, Disney.
That's right.
Well, there you go. All right. Well, great. Hey, good talk. That was great. I love it. Let's raise a cup, everyone. Cheers. Here we go. All right. So let's move on to our next segment, which we like to call Let the Wookiee Win. All right, so we have a little game show. We like to do little game shows on here, and Ray put one together, a game show that we have affectionately titled, because there really isn't any other name,
No name.
Star Wars Planet or Celebrity Baby Name.
Yeah.
So our job, Card Crazy, is for each pairing, we have to determine which is a celebrity name, baby name, and which is a Star Wars planet.
Am I pitting you two against each other, or is it just?
We're just having it's for fun. I don't think we're
We'll
gonna
just see.
keep in track.
Which
It's like
rookie will win
whose
here.
line is it anyway?
Yeah.
Where the points don't matter, right? The game's fake and the points don't matter. All right, so let's go on to our first one. Let's see what it is. Okay, so first one, Alzoc 3 and A.
Who knows how you pronounce that one? A12, maybe?
A12?
Yeah.
I don't know. I think so. Alzoc 3 sounds like a planet, right? But is it Alzoc the Third? I don't know any celebrities named Alzoc, nor their parents named Alzoc either. The AXEXEI is crazy enough, I think, to be the planet. No, I mean the celebrity name. Card Crazy, what do you think?
Are one of the pairs, are one of them always one or the other?
Always.
Oh,
Yeah,
man.
I matched these up. So
I'll go with Planet on the Alzoc.
Yeah, I'm gonna agree. All right, let's see what it is. And the celebrity name is
you both are correct. So whether it's AXII or A12, that is one of Elon Musk's children.
Oh my gosh.
Great, I know, right? That's like, okay.
Yeah, you guys are gonna love the answers to these.
All right, next one. Arcadina Altiloon and Aegon Clock. Okay, right. Did you just like put these into like a random syllable generator or something?
I had so much fun with this.
God, I have no idea.
Oh my gosh.
I'm gonna say Aegon Kloss because I feel like the people who name the Star Wars things have an affinity for do, right? Like beat, like Tatooine.
You think Aegon Kloss is a planet?
Yeah, the inflection, right? The cadence rather, and Arcadina Altiloon. I have no explanation for that.
I mean, no, I think you're onto something there. I'll take it one step further. The bottom one choice sounds more like Star Wars because they took random letters and kind of, reversed some words and stuck some letters in place, and Pig Latined it. I think that's more the Pig Latin planet name.
Okay.
Oh, I like that. Pig Latin planet. All right.
I like it. And we are in.
You guys are correct again. To be fair.
Yeah, that's right. The
green
means baby name.
Yeah, these are middle names. So this is one of Uma Thurman's children. Wow. These are her two middle names, and I think they call her Luna for short. So
wow.
Alta Luna. No. Okay. All right. Moving on. Lothar Minor and Chiari Cephas. Okay. I'm going to go first. I'll go first on this one, maybe to give you some grace. I'll say the top one is the planet. Okay. I would tend to agree because minor, right, is a typical nomenclature for a planet. Lotho minor, Lotho major, that sort of thing. So maybe it's a twin planets type deal.
Yeah.
And Chiari, it sounds like a person's name, right? Like I could almost see on my class roster having a Chiari.
But not a Lotho.
But let's say. Yes. All right.
All right. This is one of Cardi B's children.
Chiari Cephas?
Wow.
No. There we go. All right. Oh, now Boravio and Radix.
Okay.
I was almost saying like Boravio, that sounds like a name because Vio means like, right, I live or something in Spanish perhaps. And Radix, but Radix sounds like, one of the guys from Blink-182's kid, right? That's what it sounds like to me, right? Like maybe Radix.
I'm gonna go Radix's Star Wars.
Radix is the planet. I'm gonna go against you. I'm gonna say Boravio.
Okay. All right, this is our first time we have a disagreement.
It is.
All right, let's see.
Dun, dun, dun. Radix is one of Cameron Diaz's children.
No.
Yeah, see? Oh, see? Perfect, right? A 90s, I almost said a 90s celebrity's
Yep.
kid name.
Yep.
Oh man.
Radix. Oh, I love it. Yeah, there you go. Boravio. Can you give me the planet synopsis, please, Ray? Because you
Oh
memorized them.
gosh, I didn't go that. I'm sorry, I didn't go that far.
All right, fine. All right.
We have to do a fact check on that one
You
later.
have to do your own research.
Yeah.
Oh, but I know. I don't know this.
Okay.
But like, you're not putting science in a Star
I
Wars.
don't know.
planet,
You're putting
right?
calamari into the name of a species.
Okay, that's true. That's true. Conquered Dawn and audio science. No, I mean, Crazy, you go. I think it's
I think some Yahoo celebrity, was on a drinking binge and decided that audio made sense for a first name. Yeah.
I tend to agree, right? Audio. I don't know, audio science. Like, it's a musician, right? It has to be a musician's kid's name, right?
Yeah.
It has to be. All right, let's see.
Let's find out.
Yeah, all right.
However, he's not a musician. I had to look this guy up. His name is Dallas Clayton, and he's a children's author.
Huh.
Do either of you know his books? And he named his child Audio Science.
Oh, I thought it was the guy from not Yellow Card, totally different band. The band Coldplay, the band that sings Yellow.
Oh yeah, Chris Martin.
Martin.
They named their kid Apple, but that would have been
Apple. Oh, which one is like Inspector? Something Inspector with a K. I don't know. Anyway,
yeah,
that was good. Right.
Anyway,
that was
the one I did not put on here because it just seemed too obvious. But I almost put Frank Zappa named one of his children Moon Unit, and I was going to see if perhaps there was a moon in Star Wars also named Moon Unit.
Unit.
But, I don't know.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
But right, this was a terrific list. This was very, very difficult.
It
was more difficult than I thought it was going to be. Yeah. Way more difficult than I thought it was going to be.
I have to sleep with that. I lost. Okay.
Yeah, right. Oh, yeah, right. So I win one. Yes, there we go. Awesome. But yeah, that was a lot of fun. But that brings us to our final segment of the night, and I saved a lot of time for this because I feel like this is going to warrant a lot of discussion in a segment we like to call hypothetical space. So, in case you couldn't tell, we love puns and we love, wordplay, and the word hyper and space and other Star Wars said words are going to be all over our segment names. Just FYI, everyone out there. But this is a segment we like to just talk about a what if in the Star Wars universe. And God Crazy, you said it earlier in the episode. You are a Padme fan. I'm a Padme fan. I think any warm-blooded human being out there is a Padme.
I think everybody's a Padme fan.
Yeah. And so tonight's question is, what if Padme survived childbirth? And it's that question, sort of, would the outcome have changed? I mean, I think, obviously it would have changed, but to what extent? How would have Padme played into the Galactic Civil War? Would there even be a giant mega galactic civil war? Who knows? I'll open it up to both of you. Go ahead.
Go ahead, Ray.
All right, I'll go first. I guess for me, the hardest thing to imagine is Anakin going over to the dark side if she had survived. That to me is the biggest thing that would change, because all of that rage and hatred in him might then have been contained. It almost goes back to what we were saying during our cantina conversation. Would he have left the Jedi Order completely just to say, you know what, sorry guys, I can't do this, and gone off to live a peaceful married life somewhere? I don't know. But I think that without him as a central figure on the dark side and leading the dark side, then it changes the Empire's whole makeup and all of it, and their tactics and how powerful they are. But I think she would have just turned him back to the light side. So that's sort of my initial place where I land on this. But yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I think it's going to be quite the opposite because I don't think Padme would have pursued Anakin had she survived. I don't think she would have wanted him to. Oh, she would have wanted him to come back to the light side. I'm not going to argue that point, but I just think he was be too far gone that she would have seen sort of the sacrifice that need. I don't know how to describe it. Like there's no way she would have just been like, "Hey, let's go out to dinner. Let's talk this out." Right? I don't think so because I think
I don't mind that you killed all those Tusken children.
Right, and plus you have Obi-Wan chirping in her ear about how bad Anakin is too, right? And now, does Obi-Wan and Anakin have their duel on Mustafar? Does he become trapped in the Vader suit? I don't think so. I think Anakin, the Emperor sort of gets a hold of Anakin, and you have human Anakin burning the galaxy to the ground because he's so pissed off that the love of his life joins the rebellion, which I think she would, right? Joins the rebellion, fights with the remaining Jedi, and he would stop at nothing to just burn it all down, destroy everything in his path. And I think it would elevate his wrath and his rage. Because the only thing I think that was subduing Darth Vader post Padme's death was regret and remorse and sadness. Okay? Without Padme's death, those go away, and Anakin's rage, hatred, and just general pissed offness, that's a word, don't look it up, just is exacerbated.
It's a word.
Yeah, it's just exacerbated, and he just goes off, and he becomes a one-man Death Star, just going after anyone that opposes him. That's how I see it.
Wow.
All right, it's card crazy. Which way are you going?
I want to take a third opinion. So here's where I'm at. I think if Padme had survived, Anakin would have had so much more doubt and inner conflict. So before I continue that point, remember one of the things that the Emperor was trying to do this whole time was gain 100% control, because he knew if he did that he could grow the Anakin of the old into the Vader that he needed to be. But Padme lives, Anakin goes to the dark side and continues with conflict. Not just the whole Obi-Wan, it's worse. It's 1,000 times worse, because to your point, she's alive now. He's thinking about her. So here's where I'm at. In some of those first books where the Emperor Palpatine takes Vader out, and he, by the way, he's challenging him and putting him through trials. If you read the books, Vader wasn't necessarily 100% trusted right out of the gate. There were a lot of trials he had to go through. I think Palpatine would have destroyed Vader and killed him, just like he did Dooku when somebody else came along that had more potential, because Vader would have only been 70% committed, not 100%. He wouldn't have had all that hate. He would have only had 3/4 of the hate. The Emperor would have seen that as a weakness, and he would have killed him.
Yeah, I love that. No, I
love that too, and I also love envisioning, if we're going in this direction, what then is Padme's role in the rebellion? I think we've talked about sort of crazy theories or whatever, and this idea that, oh, well, what if Padme had survived and she was actually Mon Mothma or whatever? I think she would have had a very leading role, and that would have fueled exactly that kind of regret, doubt, all of it. Now I'm picturing, because in some of the books, right, Palpatine is pitting Vader against, is it Zizor, right? And it's like, oh, okay, so Zizor might have come out on top because now Vader has all these reasons to hold back.
Exactly.
Yeah, no, I think the whole Palpatine destroying Anakin is a fascinating thing to think about. And I think you're absolutely correct. No longer useful, too volatile. Could he go back to the light side? Could Padme drag him back? Not worth the risk. Destroys Anakin. Yeah, not worth my time. Destroys Anakin. But with Padme at the helm, along with all the other rebel heroes, does the rebellion succeed that much quicker and easier?
Maybe so.
Maybe
Well,
so.
imagine she would have had Luke and Leia under her tutelage from
I
the
was just
start.
going to say
Right?
that. Yep.
They're not
Yep.
in hiding anymore, so they're being
Yeah.
raised by Padme to be this awesome, right? Could you imagine Luke if he had had that kind of training from the get-go?
Exactly.
Instead of coming to it at age 18, right?
And having Yoda and Obi-Wan together, training the both of them, Luke
And maybe even
and
Ahsoka.
And they never would have kissed each other, so all that would have been
yeah, right.
And well, that would have wrecked my childhood if Leia and Luke didn't kiss. But
That's right. That's right. That's right. Would she still have had the buns, Ray? Could she still have the buns?
She'd still have the buns.
Okay, sorry. Then I'm fine. Then I'm fine. I'm okay.
Eat
I'm
the
okay
buns.
with it then.
Yeah.
No, I with Padme surviving, it's is that what? Because I always used to think like, is that what turned the galaxy down the dark path for good, right? Or not? For whereas, the Civil War, Padme survives. Order 66 might still happen, but with this leader, because she's known throughout the galaxy from her time on Naboo, she's known to the inner circle. She's trusted by the upper crust of leadership that would become the leaders of the rebellion. Does she become the lightning rod that just takes out Darth Sidious for good? And I didn't even think about that, right? Like, because growing up with the original trilogy, Vader is supreme. I remember my head exploded when there was someone more powerful than Vader, like shows up on screen, right?
You sort of don't even realize that.
What do you mean there's an emperor? What?
Yeah.
Like, that doesn't make sense. And again, and then seeing it in the prequels and how Palpatine manipulated him. I feel like, Palpatine would just, I think you're right, Card Crazy, just brush him off to the side, throw his lightsaber in the pile with Dooku and Maul and all the others that were, killed and destroyed. And then maybe would he go after Luke? Would he try to kidnap Luke? Would he try to clone Anakin? Would he try to, what path would he have taken to do that?
We need a what if. Yeah, we need Disney to come out with a Star Wars what if that carries through that scenario and tells us what happened.
Yeah, no, that'd be amazing.
I love this because it just goes to show, again, like, fans are so wedded to this idea of the Skywalker saga, where we think the Skywalkers are the center of the universe because that was the first trilogy that we were given. But what if this is just one tiny story? What if Palpatine had 10 other Anakins, sort of on the sidelines of like, oh, maybe this is my person that I can, right? And if Anakin failed, then he just gets rid of him and he goes on to the next guy. And it's just one tiny little piece of his larger power. And like you say, when you first realize that there's an emperor, it is like, as a kid, you're like, oh, okay, Vader's the bad guy. Oh no, he's actually just kind of a puppet. So
that's right.
Yeah.
Crazy.
So interesting. And we'll get together. We'll put our heads together. We'll write the what if novel.
I like it.
Padme lives.
And then we'll make a whole bunch of beautiful cards about it and make Christmas.
Yes.
Yeah.
And then I can put them on my glass. Yeah.
There you go. Yeah. I'm in. Count me in. That's a great idea. Awesome. All right. Well, that was awesome. That was really good. And that's why I love talking Star Wars with fellow Star Wars fans, because these angles and these thoughts that you never would have thought yourself just kind of come to the forefront, and it just changes your whole galaxy view. I almost said worldview. Your whole galaxy view. But yeah, so that brings us to the end. Card Crazy, that we made it. We did it. We made it to the end. How do
people know this was our season premiere? Did we even say that?
Yeah. This is technically, we did, like I said, we did the pilots back in the summer, and here we are. This is episode number 1 of the Outer Rim. And, we just want to thank you, Card Crazy, for taking the time to come out and talk to us and show off your collection. And like I said, I know you got a ton going on down there, and just, we are forever grateful for having you on. And I know there are a lot of Star Wars card fans out there that follow you on Instagram and ogle your cards and your knowledge too. Like, I love how you help new collectors with all your posts on grading and collecting in general. I think it's just a huge benefit and a huge boon to the hobby awesome. to have you out there and doing what you do.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
I appreciate it. I had a good time, and this was awesome. I appreciate being part of the episode. Thank you so much.
Yeah, and like I said, I hope to down the line, you'll be getting a message. We'll have you back. We'll have you back on later
Pick
down
a
the
set
road.
that you want to talk about, and we'll talk about it. So
Yeah.
Fair enough.
Awesome.
Fair enough.
Awesome. All right, my friend. Well, we're gonna say goodbye to you, and then we're gonna say our goodbye. So
All right.
take care, Car Crazy. We'll
Bye-bye.
catch
Stay
you on the other
crazy,
side.
guys.
all right, may the force be with you all.
And you.
All right, Ray. Episode number 1 in the books. What'd you think?
Good time. Happy to come back again. How's that?
You had a good time. You want to do another episode? Oh my god!
Let's do it again.
Oh my god, this is so good. That was amazing. Having Guard Crazy, I couldn't believe. I'm like, I couldn't believe he wants to do the show. That's how I thought.
I was gonna say I'm a little starstruck by him, so that was fantastic. His background is a lot shinier than mine.
Yes. We'll get that PC going for you, and we'll build that collection for you, and you can have a collection like that someday behind you. So, but with that, we're gonna say goodbye for the night. I want to thank everyone for joining us here on the Outer Rim. Ray, thank you so much once again, my ever faithful co-host here. But we'll see you next time.
Bye, everyone.